Megan. I run a farm and our homestead along with my husband. In the month of August, I take part in a challenge on YouTube originated by Jessica on 3 Rivers Homestead. And it is where we preserve something from the garden or that we grew meat-wise or whatever for every day in the month of August. Recently, I took a break from YouTube just because things were too busy. It's really hot outside and I hate summer. So I wanted to make it a little easier on myself. Now, Jessica from 3 Rivers Homestead is in Ohio, and my East Texas garden runs about 2 months ahead of hers, and then mid-July it's done. It's done until mid-September when I can start my fall garden. So this year I just did a whole bunch of preservation projects throughout the gardening season when things were coming out of the garden. The rules of this challenge are there are no rules, so those are my rules. Now I'm sure y'all all seen this before, especially if you watch 3 Rivers Homestead, but we have a ton of zucchini coming out of the garden. This is late May that I filmed this. In Texas and zones 8 and up that are hot and muggy and humid, we get a lot of disease. We have a lot of heat, so we get a lot of pests. Here I'm just grating it into matchsticks, putting it into muffin tins, and I'll freeze it like that. And then I can use it anytime we need zucchini. The 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 family is rather large. You can get pumpkins or zucchini or tromboncino or butternut squash. The summer squashes like zucchini are in 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 pepo. They have thinner skins and less woody stems. So the things like tromboncino and butternut squash are things that are going to last longer in your southern gardens due to those defenses like thicker skins and thicker stems. All these pucks you can take out and put in a bag. I vacuum sealed mine. We've had a really mild summer. I think the whole country can kind of say that. And lots of rain here in Texas, so we had a pretty good harvest of beans. These are Blue Hildy right here. On the other side are my rattlesnake green beans. I swear I changed my clothes, but you see me in the same t-shirt a lot through this video. If you're looking for an easy canning project to start off canning, green beans are simple. I'm just snapping off the ends and getting as many strings off as I can. It turns out green beans actually originate from South and Central America. The indigenous people there started planting it around, and the Native Americans here in the U.S. started using them next to corn stalks so that the pole beans could grow up the corn stalks. In the 1800s, we started breeding green beans to become a better crop with less strings. Thank goodness. Wisconsin actually leads for top sales in green beans for the U.S. They actually can and freeze most of their green beans. Florida actually tops in green bean sales for fresh green beans. Again, here in my area, it does start to get too hot for green beans. I highly recommend the rattlesnake green bean. It is very heat tolerant. I'll be filling these to 1-inch head space with water. Adding salt here is optional, but if you choose to, it's half a teaspoon of salt per pint jar. I'm sure up north you have a chance to do another succession of green beans. I think a rattlesnake green bean would work here in my area 8B for another succession. But I have enough green beans, and we even have some frozen. It's just too freaking hot to get out in the garden and go harvest them all the time. Aren't those pretty? I actually waited till I had more cans of green beans to do all this, so I put these in the fridge and let them sit out before I canned the rest of them. Oh, oops. It's a shame these pretty Blue Hildy green beans turn green when you cook them. But here it is, out of the pressure canner. I processed them for 20 minutes. Here's my big old roaster. I'm gonna put this at defrost, which is, looks like it's 275. And then I've got these carcasses. I think there's 2 in each, maybe 3 in this one, from the chickens we processed in March, I think. Sometimes there are things on the farm that's more of a hassle than it's worth, and processing chickens was that for us. We got rid of the plucker. We're not doing homegrown chickens anymore. They aren't as good as the grocery store in our opinion. They're tougher, so we decided to remove that task. I'm not gonna season it with any onion. This is the only carrot I have is matchsticks. I put a little bit of salt. They gotta have flavors too. Some black pepper. Let's do some thyme leaves. If I had known I was doing this, I'd get them out of the garden, but I don't live where my garden is. I am gonna add garlic. It's supposed to repel fleas. We used to do it at the zoo, so before you come at me for an allium, we used to give the dogs at the zoo garlic. I'm just gonna fill this up until it comes up like all the way. Looky there, a little, it reaches. How convenient. We have more than enough chicken broth for us, and we needed to make room in the freezer. Well, that was handy. Now, I'm gonna cook it overnight, maybe even longer. This probably cooked for like 32 hours or so. I'm just using a noodle strainer here and putting it into a couple pitchers. I put that in the refrigerator and let the fat congeal. A lot of times I start a project in the morning and then I need to go walk the dogs and feed the farm animals before it gets too hot. So I just have to stop. I put this in the fridge, come back and finish that, or maybe even do it the next day. The sun takes a lot out of you out here in the heat and humidity, and sometimes I don't have the energy to finish it that day. Right or wrong, I do a lot of canning projects like that, and we're still not dead. I'm filling quart jars to 1-inch headspace, and I'm going to process them in the pressure canner for 25 minutes. We have a couple dogs that will not eat their food without this broth on it because they're spoiled. I was pretty proud of my corn this year. It grew tall, and on June 1st it was ready to pick. Oh, corn! Oh, there's a cornworm eating my freaking harvest. If you prick it and milky stuff comes out, then it's ready, which it does. If it's clear, then it's not ready yet, and if nothing comes out, you missed it. 1 day worth of harvest. The first thing I need to get done is I need to peel these and get the cornworms out of them. Yes, there's going to be cornworms in every single one of them. At least 2 is usually what I find. You just cut off the end and it won't hurt you. Don't worry about it. My gosh. Get over it. Although these corn cobs may not look the giantest, it's always going to be smaller in your garden anyway. But my advice is fertilize, fertilize, fertilize. In past years, I've never gotten corn to grow over like 3 feet. So it was already a win because now I have Halloween decorations after I dried out the stalks. And the chickens got all the cornworms and ends of the corn cobs, so everybody was happy. Give it some room, and you never knew. Here's my bowl of gold. With my first batch, I wanted to just can the kernels, so I put a bowl upside down inside of a bigger bowl and then cut the kernels off. These kernels were pretty small, so I should have canned in half-pint jars. It would have been a better portion for 2 people, but now I know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe! It just packed a lot of corn into each jar. Here I am putting a 1/4 teaspoon of salt into each jar. I filled these with water up to 1-inch headspace and then gave them a little bit of a stir, even though the sink kind of did it for me, just to debubble just a little bit. You want a clean rim to make sure everything seals, and then put those lids on, followed by the rings. Because corn has to process for 55 freaking minutes, I put these 4 jars into the fridge and waited for more ears of corn to be ready so that I can process more all together at the same time for that long. Okay. These ends that the cornworms got, I'm going to save for the chicken. Looks like once again I spent all that time processing corn and decided to put it in the fridge and wait till the next day. So I'm blanching it here for about 2 minutes in boiling water. For 2 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes actually. Then you'll need to shock it in an ice bath to make sure it doesn't keep on cooking. This stops some of the enzymes that would otherwise break down the corn. If you don't, you're sacrificing taste, texture, and color. Been in the ice bath for a minute. Now I'm going to just dry it off. And that would be to prevent ice crystals from forming and giving your food freezer burn. And then put it in the bags. Boysenberries actually originated in California, where a Swedish immigrant by the name of Boysen loved to cross different kinds of berries. Boysenberries are thought to be a cross between loganberries, raspberries, and blackberries. Derek and his son love boysenberry syrup, so we planted these a few years ago, and we finally caught them at the right time. Okay, this is supposed to be at medium high. Now I'm following the blueberry syrup recipe in the ball canning book, so it calls for 8 cups of berries and 2 cups of water. 1 tablespoon of lemon zest. And the instructions don't say don't zest the sticker, but I assume you don't. I almost forgot to mash them. Boil for 5 minutes and then I'm going to strain it. Bowl, strainer, and cheesecloth. Now you're supposed to transfer the hot liquid to several layers of cheesecloth or whatever you're straining it through for at least 2 hours undisturbed. And then in a large stainless steel saucepan, you know how many times that took me to get that right? Anyway, in that, 4 cups of water and 3 cups of sugar. Boil that over medium-high heat until the sugar dissolves and it reaches 230 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you add in the berry juice and you crank it up to high and bring that to a boil for 5 minutes. While that was happening, I was getting my water bath canner ready and heating up those jars just so when I pour that hot syrup in, it won't crack the jars. After it's been on there for 5 minutes, you take it off the heat and then add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. But I already did it, so I screwed that up. By then it was time to take the jars out. Leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. It's real important to wipe the rims of these jars because they are going to be sticky. This syrup is going to process for 10 minutes in the water bath canner, and then some of it will make the trip to Utah. I do not like cucumbers, but my husband does, and he likes to mix relish with tuna, which sounds disgusting, but some of y'all might like it. Anyway, I'm starting off with 6 to 7 pounds of cucumbers from the garden. I told him, if you're gonna have nasty plants in my garden, you better freaking eat them. Washed them, and now I have to cut the blossom ends off. And then put it in 1-inch chunks for the food processor. So that's what I'm gonna do. Load them in the food processor. And then make it into little chunks of cucumber nastiness. Now I have to put in 1/4 cup of canning and pickling salt. And I just barely have enough. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. Now here's where I screwed up this one. I wasn't supposed to add this pickling spice till later on, but I did it now. Right now, the point of that salt is to bring all the water that you can out of that cucumber, so it's not a big floating mass of cucumber juice. I did find some big chunks in here, and I just cut them up real quick. Like that. And then you cover it and refrigerate for 2 hours. I think it's the next day, and you have to strain all of this to get most of that water out. So I'm going to lose a little bit of flavor from the pickling stuff I put in there, but it's probably pretty good. He hasn't opened a jar yet. In a large saucepan, now you want to add 2.5 cups of white vinegar and 2 cups of sugar on medium heat. Now this is where you would also add the spice packet that I already added to it on accident. And then bring all that to a boil on medium heat. Okay, now we're gonna add... Oh, it's still dripping. Then you're gonna add your cucumber and boil that for 10 minutes. And here's all that juice from those cucumbers and the spice I wasn't supposed to put in. Since the relish is hot, the jars need to be hot. That way you don't break them. So again, I put it in the water bath canner with no lid on, and then I took those jars out and they were hot and ready for the relish. And fill that relish till a 1/2 inch headspace. And this relish was thick enough to have to debubble in there, which is good. Then of course, especially when they're sugary, make sure and clean the rim, put your lid and ring on, and then you're ready to process in the water bath canner. And they'll process for 15 minutes. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you'll be back for next week's preservation challenge on Wednesdays. I also make farm content and gardening videos on Sundays, so make sure you're subscribed. Bye. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I upload some Wednesdays and all Sundays, and you can keep watching us grow our farm. Have a good one.